ready to get serious about building content sites and building a profitable business online? Welcome to the Niche Website Builders Podcast. We bring you the latest field-tested tips, tricks, and strategies for building a profitable online asset. We interview industry experts, share customer success stories, and reveal our own experiences working on hundreds of sites to inspire and motivate you to make something happen. Let's do this.
Hi, and welcome to this week's episode of the Niche Website Builder podcast and YouTube channel. My guest this week is a fellow UK-based affiliate marketer. His name is Shaun Baird. He's been making money in some capacity online for the last 10 years, but he actually got serious about creating a niche website, I think around in 2016. So he's been doing it for 4 or 5 years. He's recently sold the site, so we talk a little bit about his exit, how he got there, how he felt, what he's going to spend the money on, and we talk about everything in between. So I hope you enjoy this episode. This one's a little bit different than our normal in that Shaun is what I consider a normal person. He's not a full-time marketer. He's got a full-time job, day job, and he's been doing this on the side. So I hope that gives a different perspective on things, and let's get into this.
This episode is brought to you by Niche Website Builders, an agency dedicated to helping people just like you build profitable content sites. Niche Website Builders are the hands-off content site marketing agency you always wished existed. It's run by content site marketers for content site marketers, and they help both investors and individuals alike build profitable online properties. They provide a fully outsourced approach to content creation, link building, and done-for-you website builds, the same approach they use on their own six-figure portfolios. For example, their content packages come with a proprietary keyword research process, are written by in-house native English speakers, formatted using templates proven to convert, and uploaded to WordPress with affiliate links added so that all you need to do is hit the publish button. Check them out at nichewebsite.builders/show. That's nichewebsite.builders/show and fill out the form to get coupon codes for 10% more content or a 10% discount on links with your first order sent right to your inbox.
Hey Shaun, thanks for jumping on the show. How's things?
Hi Adam, yes, things are not too bad, thank you. And yourself?
It's good. It's good. Where in the UK are you? Where are you based?
I'm in Doncaster, South Yorkshire in the UK.
That's up north, right?
Well, it depends where you come from.
South if you're in Scotland, I guess, right?
Exactly, yeah.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate you taking the time to jump on this call with us. You're going to share your story with us, which I think is it's a really cool story. It's different to some of the other podcasts that we've done where we've got people who are super established. And we did one recently with John Dykstra, who's doing like 80 grand a month with his blogs. But you're just a regular guy who's got a full-time day job. You're self-employed. We'll probably cover that in a second. But you've got a full-time day job. You've been doing building a niche website on the side for the last couple of years, and you've just sold it, which I think is a cool story to hear from someone who's doing this as a part-time job. So I always ask this question, do you remember how you made your first money online? I don't know whether it was pounds or dollars because you're in the UK. How did you make that?
I'm probably the slowest person at making money you'll ever meet in your whole life. But I have made money over the last 10, maybe 15 years online. I've always been into making money and little ways and methods and things like that. I can remember building a website 10, 15 years ago based on some things I learned when I was working at Toyota, which was it was like a 5 why process, and it was to help improve your working process and things like that. So that got me interested. But I've always looked at money-making things, and it's very strange and wide and varied. Like what are these get paid to click things that were really popular 10 years ago? Pay to click.
CPA, is it? CPA stuff.
No, I'm going back a lot longer than that.
Okay.
You'd have a browser window open, and someone's website would show for 10 seconds,
Oh,
and
like a
you click.
pop-up.
You click next, and it goes to the next one, and you earn like 0.001 of a dollar. And you probably do it on 10 sites a day, and just keep it going for a couple of hours. And it's just
So wait.
lots
So
of
you were actually manually clicking the button, almost like a click farm, I guess. Is that what it was?
yeah, pretty poor, to be honest. Pretty poor.
Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've done all sorts of things, shall we say?
Right. Okay. We'll keep that as just things then, is it?
Yeah, lots of things. I mean, I was making niche websites 10 years ago. There was a guy who had got a group on. Well, it was a forum, and it was teaching us then about making niche websites. And I started creating websites, and eventually I got up to about 50 websites. Didn't really know what I was doing, but one thing I knew I was good at was writing, and that just sort of came naturally to me. And also having a good personality helps a lot. So I found myself writing for a lot of other people, writing content for them and getting good feedback from them. So that's what prompted me to get in and start doing some websites of my own. And that was okay. And I'd got these 50 websites, and it looked good and it felt really good, but it wasn't really making much money. So these were the days when you could get 500 words written for like $5. And a 500-word article would be fantastic, and it would get you ranking and making money. So back in them days, I was ordering 10, 20, 30 articles a month, and the money was coming in constantly. And I could see it going up $200, $300, $400, $700. So there was several times in the early years when I'd be earning up to $1,000 a month. But then Google would do its thing and sort of say, no, you're not, and just knock you back down again. So,
right.
Yeah.
So you lost that. That was almost like a network then, and then you lost that network with one of the Google updates.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. That's a good backstory. Okay. So fast forward then. So you were online making money for like 10 years plus, and you tried all sorts of things, from those click farms, clicking the next, through to building up sites and like low quality content, I guess. So fast forward to 2016, which is when you started the site that we're going to talk about today. What were you doing at the time? Because I know that you've got your own business. Tell us a little about the business. Is it a demanding job? What was your situation at the time when you started this site?
So in 2016, I had been out of internet marketing for maybe 2 or 3 years, but I'd always kept my ear open to it, even though I was fed up of getting knocked back by Google. It's kind of in my heart, really. It's something that I enjoy, the passive income, even though it's not really passive.
Yeah.
So I decided for a few years to focus more on my offline business, which is a lawn care business here in South Yorkshire. And it has grown and grown and grown and grown. And it's extremely busy, and it's very, very successful now. I work full-time in it. My partner works full-time in it. She works the office, and I go out and do the lawn treatments. Nowadays, we're at a stage now where we need staff, and we're struggling. That's another story for another day. But back in 2016, we're at the point where we're really, really busy during spring, summer, and autumn. But then things would just tail off a bit into winter. And the ability to earn extra money from extra gardening jobs, as well as the lawn treatments, wasn't there. So my income would come down to a skeletal income, and it wasn't always enough. So every single winter, for a few years, it was on my mind, what can I do to make more money? So I decided, right, I'm going to get back in. I'm going to start another website. It's just going to be one website. I'm going to focus on it, and I'm going to put everything I've got into it. And all I'm going to head down, focus, and write. And that's what I did. Now, bear in mind, I'm not a systematic person. I don't do 5 articles a month, X amount of words. I just do my best as an ordinary person. I sit down and I write. I do a bit of research. And that's what I did. So it was around September, October 2016, I decided to start the site alongside the business. And I'd got a few months over winter where I could put some time into it.
Awesome. Okay, so it's more like a forced thing. You'd always been interested in doing something else, but then this almost was like a golden opportunity where you were quiet during the winter months. So you thought, why not? How did you know where to start? Because obviously you'd had some experience in the past, but it sounds like what you've done in the past was maybe making use of like a loophole or something with Google, and you got slapped for it. How did you approach this in the what you consider back then to be the right way? Like, were you in research? Had you taken a course? How did that happen?
No, I've never really taken any courses. I think over the 10 years of doing niche marketing, I'd already built up that foundational knowledge of what you need to do. I can set a WordPress website up in my sleep. All the basics, getting all your privacy policy, everything else. It's something I've done dozens and dozens of times.
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, as I was getting more and more back into it, I was thinking, well, what's working now? So literally, YouTube is your friend. And you find various people on there who are doing quite well. Yeah. And you start looking into them and think, which one of these am I going to follow? And you need to follow one rather than a bit from each, I think.
Do you remember who you followed? Like who it was back in the day that was your motivation for this?
I can, but I can't think of his name. That's absolutely terrible, isn't it?
It'll come to you as we go through, I'm sure.
Yeah, I might just leave it at that.
Cool. Okay, so you're almost doing this instinctively then at that point, because you no formal course or no training or real experience apart from the past stuff that you've done. So you're doing it almost by intuition, following some videos on YouTube. And I know you said you're not a systematic person, and
Doug Cunnington.
Oh, Doug. Oh,
yes.
How can you forget Doug?
Sorry, Doug. He'll know because I commented on quite a few of his videos a few years ago.
Okay. So I'm assuming you were looking at, was Doug doing the keyword golden ratio scores back then?
Yeah.
Okay,
and that's sense. That's what sort of sparked my interest again.
Right. Okay. Interesting. So keyword research is a little bit further down my list, but I guess you'll talk about it now. Was it just Doug's golden keyword research method that you followed, at least initially?
Again, not following tradition. I looked at it and I wrote a few articles with it.
Yeah.
And they gained a bit of traction. But what I ended up doing, I just got so frustrated. I just went out and thought, right, anything. And I tried to think in my head, what are people not writing about, what you don't see? And I thought, ooh, power tools. I thought, well, everyone's looking at power tools. And then I was looking around on Amazon. I thought, construction tools. Not many people's doing construction tools, cement mixers. So I thought, right, I'm gonna write a really good article on cement mixers. And I did. I wrote an article on the best cement mixers. I think that was one of the first ones that I wrote. And it was thousands and thousands of words long. But it started to work. But it was taking me a month to write every article, sometimes 5 weeks, because I didn't have that much spare time.
Yeah.
Although I did have spare time. So, yeah. And it started to work. September, October, November. And then I think it was around February. So about 5 or 6 months, we could start to see a bit of money coming in.
Yeah.
And it did go up quite rapidly from that point.
Okay. How many articles were you roughly were you in at that 5 month mark?
Not that many. 10.
Oh. Wow. Okay.
10, maybe 15, something like that.
Yeah. Because one of my questions was starting a website from scratch is hard, especially when you don't have lots of time to devote to content. So I assumed it would have taken a lot longer to at least start gaining some traction, because this was on a fresh domain as well, right? It wasn't an expired domain or anything like that.
Yeah. Around the same time as I was doing this, I was also, looking for ways to make things happen faster. And you may remember a guy who owned 10 Beasts.
Yeah.
And he had phenomenal success until he sold the site, and then the site got hit by Google. I based my site on a very sort of similar sort of setup to what he did. And I read that he was doing something with university links to get a scholarship program.
Scholarship posts.
Yeah, a scholarship program. So you offer university students like money towards their funding for their university fees. Right. So the scholarship may be like $1,000, and you would get people to write articles in for you, and then obviously the best one would get chosen, and we'd give them $1,000 towards the scholarship. But what we do, I'd be emailing dozens and dozens and dozens of universities direct to the university department. And I had quite a good success rate with it. I mean, I probably got 40 or 50 university links very quick.
Wow.
And this is where the site went from sort of $40, $200, $400, $800, and then up to $1,000 in about 4 or 5 months.
That's incredible. And I know the site was UK focused.
Yeah.
Were these UK universities, or we reached out to US universities as well?
I only reached out to US universities.
Okay.
I found it easier because they were more into the scholarship program thing. And that's just literally how I sort of wandered down my own path, really.
Yeah.
Very unstructured. But we got there in the end. That's the main thing.
Yeah. That's interesting. I know scholarship link building used to be a big thing. And I actually remember the guy from 10 Beasts almost making it like mainstream. I think it was a method beforehand and people were using it, but he's the guy who kind of opened the can of worms, and then everyone started doing it. And then I'm pretty sure Google then, after a while, they reduced the impact of those kinds of links, I think.
Yeah, I heard that. And I heard that some sites were getting hit as a result. So I actually stopped the scholarship program, and I actually manually removed a lot of the links. Okay. The site continued on for the next year with very little content and very little else being done to it, because I was really busy throughout the next year of my working life. And it carried on at around $1,000 a month mark, or that then after it started to gradually phase down.
Right. Okay. So year one essentially was about 10, 15 articles. You've done this manual outreach for the scholarship, and you just let it sit for a year.
Yeah, pretty much.
Awesome. Okay. So, in all honesty, I expected a totally different story to this, Shaun. I in my head, because I've obviously we won't reveal the site, but I looked at the site beforehand, and I just assumed this was a totally different story I was gonna hear tonight. But this is cool. So, okay, so that was year one. What happened in year two then? So I'm assuming winter came back around again, and the lawn care business died down a little bit. And did you go back to work in year two on the site, or?
I will be completely honest with you, because my day job is ridiculously busy most of the year. Again, in the second year, I did very little, but I could see that the earnings were starting to come down.
Right.
But I just ignored it, and I just enjoyed the additional income coming in, which, in hindsight is the wrong way to think about it. But it's a lesson learnt, and that is what happened. And it was only when the site, I think in year three, got down to probably a tenth of the earnings that I thought, right, I need to do something about this. So then I started getting interested in the site again.
And what did you do then? So you got interested in the site. Well, how did you come back to it then?
Well, I knew from 10 years ago that I am not the most consistent writer. I am a good writer, an engaging writer, but I know I'm not consistent. So I know that I am the bottleneck. And when I employed someone to write articles for me 10 years ago, and at one point there was 30 or 40 a month coming in, I could see the income going up. So I thought, right, things are different now. We can't buy articles for $5 anymore. We have to pay considerably more than that nowadays. But the quality has to be so much better. So I decided to use your agency to create some content for me.
Okay, so that was in year 3 then?
Yeah, somewhere around there, yeah.
Okay. So yeah, I know that we implemented a content strategy where we started adding around 10,000 words of content every month for you, and I think we started with you in about May 2020, I believe. Is that about right?
Yeah, I mean, it might have been April, May, yeah.
April, May. Okay. So what happened to the site then? And I'm conscious that I don't want this to sound like an advert now, because I want to hear your story. But and the side of the story I want to hear is how you were able to, I guess, manage a site with a busy full-time job and also try and grow it at the same time. Because I think that's what people will take value from, the people who are in a similar situation.
Yeah, I think you have to realise what your own limits are. My limit is me, and it's me that impacts the site, and I've got to hand a lot of that to someone else who is doing that all the time. Even though I want a site which is successful, at the moment I don't have the time to put into that. So I have to give a lot of that to you guys. Coming across your agency, lots of good reviews about it, and I thought I'd give it a whirl. And the first month or so was obviously strategy and deciding what direction to take things. And then the content plan was outlined. So for the first few months, really, nothing really happened with the site, apart from just getting on track. But then it did start to pick up. And it's just been an uphill trajectory right up until recent months.
Okay. Were you doing anything else to the site apart from just as having work on the site? Were you adding your own content at this time? Were you doing any kind of link building?
Link building, no. It's never been a big thing for me, link building, never.
Apart from the scholarship posts.
Sorry?
Apart from the scholarship posts.
Apart from the scholarship. Yeah. Really just going in and updating older content whenever I've got spare time. It is hard when you work, and you've got a family as well and lots of other things going off. So I knew which articles you guys were working on, so I would go and update the older articles as best I could. Because at the time, my belief was that when it's depending on the type of keyword, if it's a product type of keyword, you'll know that topic is going to expire fairly quickly, every couple of months. If it's a best cement mixers, you know that new cement mixers come out all the time. So Google, in my mind at the time, expects updated content on any best type review content. So I was trying my hardest to work on as many of the older posts as possible to make sure that happens.
Okay. How did you approach that? How would you like, for example, how would you update your best cement mixer article? Is it just swapping out the products? Would you do anything to the buyer's guide? Will you add in like FAQs or additional content, or was it just swapping the products?
It was obviously the first thing I would do was go in and I would make sure if there's any out of stock products, we'd obviously swap them for new products. But then you've got to rewrite the description for those products and make it all look pretty. And then I would think, what else can I add to try and enhance this? I would also check that there's no spelling mistakes, no sort of technical things like that, anything that's slowing it down, such as images, which are larger than they should be, and just general updating of the content.
Okay. Did you use any were you using any tools for that? Like, were you using Surfer to try and optimize or correlate, or was this just Shaun going in, having a little look, see what he can, what looks like can be changed?
Yeah, Surfer SEO, I tried it for maybe 2 months, and initially I saw a jump in some of the content, but it didn't seem to last, and that kind of put me off. So it was a very short-lived partnership with Surfer SEO, and the rest of it is just literally by me and, you know, that little hunch that you have in the back of your head, probably from all the years I've been doing SEO and looking at the top 10 results, seeing what the ones at the top are doing, and trying to make mine maybe a bit better.
Do you think it also helped a little bit that obviously your day job is quite hands-on, like lawn care, and the products that you were looking at were like construction based or, you know, labor based? I'm assuming that you are, you know, most people who are gardeners or builders or whatever can turn their hand to anything. Did you have like a base level of knowledge about the topics anyway? Like, did you know much about cement mixers or no, nothing at all?
Nope. No, my knowledge, my knowledge on lawn care actually spans 20 years.
Yeah.
So I started adding some lawn care topics to the website, but the rest of the content was purely, let's write about this, let's write about that, let's just give it a go and go for it.
See what happens.
Yeah, really, really unfocused, shooting in the dark.
Well, that's good, because that brings me on to my next point, because I remember when we started working with you, the site was very multi-niche. Like, you had small categories about most things on there. Is that just because of the way you did the research and the writing, like you just mentioned? Was it a conscious thing to try and do a little bit of, you know, a little bit of fitness and a little bit of kitchen equipment and cement mixers? Like, how did you end up with a multi-niche site like that?
Just by stumbling my way through life. There's no good answer, really. Literally just from, let's write about this, let's write about that. I think you know, I looked at toasters and thought, tapped in best 4-slice toaster into Google, looked at the top 10. You know, they looked like there could be some easy wins in there. I thought, right, I'm going to do one. I think that's pretty much all I ever did. I looked at top 10. There's some rubbish sites on there. I'm going to give it a go. I never looked at competition. You know, there's weak sites in there. I'm going to write an article on it.
So you never use like tools, Ahrefs or SEMrush to. No. It's fascinating for someone like myself who's very much data driven. Like, I find this fascinating. And it obviously worked, because we're talking a little bit about how you sold the site, but I mean, what you were doing, even though it seems unorganized, there was obviously method to the madness, because it was working. I mean, at one point, what was the site doing at one point? I think you mentioned to me before it was doing fairly well.
Somewhere around £1,100-1,200. It's what, $1,300-1,400 at its peak. Yeah. And it had previously reached that level once before, 2 or 3 years ago, before it went down.
Yeah. Okay. So when you realize, because I think we initially spoke about the site being like quite multi-niche, and I know you were flipping back and forth between a couple of ideas about what you should do about it. I know I saw you post in a couple of Facebook groups asking for advice about maybe splitting the site up, going the route almost the way the Spruce did. They had like the Pet Spruce and Home Spruce or whatever they're called. can you tell us a bit about that? Like what your thought process was, what you eventually obviously didn't split the site up. How come? Like, just talk us a bit about that.
A lot of it is based on hunches and what I read. Really, you read about these other sites doing this because they are multi-niche, and then you read that Google's wanting you to be more centered around a topic. And I've known for a long time my site was not around a centered topic. So that was on my mind. What can we do? What can we do? What can we do? I even bought 10 more domains, which were very memorable domains, and I've just recently let them expire. And my idea was I was going to move all the appropriate content to each site and just gradually build those up. Yeah.
Okay, no, that makes sense. So I guess why didn't you do that is the question. If you bought them and you had the plans, what stopped you doing that?
I think it was advice from you, actually. It was.
It's just... I remember us having this conversation.
Yeah,
and I think at the time we talked about like some of the categories wouldn't warrant like a full site. Like maybe you had a category with just a couple of posts in there, so splitting that off into its own site didn't quite make sense. And I think when we had this conversation, we'd been working on the site for quite some time, and I think the site had almost doubled in revenue since that point. So it was on a very nice upward trajectory.
Yeah,
and or almost like if it's working, we don't want to rock the boat if it's growing month on month now. So maybe splitting it out at that point probably wasn't the best idea.
I'm quite happy to do whatever's right. I mean, at the end of the day, I've spoken to you a few times, and I'm aware of what sort of path you've been on, and then the successes that you've had over the last few years with websites and things. So if you recommend something, I'm going to listen, and that's just it is what it is.
Well, I hope, and I like to think we recommended the right way, because the site eventually doubled in revenue and traffic, and then you sold it, which I want to talk about next, which is the fun part, the cool part of the story. So you got to, you went through November and Christmas, really good months for most affiliate sites anyway. And then I think you started thinking about selling the site then. So talk us a little bit about that process. You'd owned the site for a couple of years at this point. Why did you start thinking about selling? Like, what was the mental process of looking to sell the site then?
Well, you've got to understand that this website I was very emotionally attached to, very. It has been my baby. It's been the one thing that I've nurtured. And it was my clinging on to hope dream. So when you hear that Google don't like multi-niche sites, every single week I'm wondering if Google are going to target my site and hit it. And, you know, at one point I did approach, is it Motion Invest, Spencer Hawes and a couple other guys. And they came back with a quote once, but then they came back and said, actually, they're not interested. And I think maybe at that point it was for a reason, but maybe it's because it was too multi-niche and it was targeting the UK. I don't know. But there was a lot of YouTube content as well, which targeted some of the niches on the website. So my emotions were up and down. Should I sell it? Should I keep it and work on it? And I would say those emotions went on for about a year. Eventually, after working with you guys and seeing the income going up and up and up, that feeling of potentially losing out on the revenue was frightening. Absolutely, every single month. Should I sell it? Should I sell it? Should I sell it? If I don't sell it, it might grow, it might double, it might triple, and it might not. You just never know. And, you know, I think I just wrote a couple of posts and then somebody approached me.
That's the the battle that all the site owners face, right? Is when to sell. I mean, me and Mark have talked about this on other podcasts where I'm very much a buy and flip and in and out kind of quick person. So I know exactly when I want to exit these sites. Normally, I've usually got a very clear roadmap. Mark, on the other hand, I mean, I've talked to him tons of times about, his sites are going up, and he's like, next month is better, and it's been, it's almost still going up, and it's still going up, and I'm saying to him, yeah, Mark, that's great. But when it starts to go down, then you're going to have trouble selling. But everyone's different, and it's this old age thing of, can you pick the top? It's like the stock market. Like, how do you can you pick the top in a stock price? Can you pick the top in earnings? Inevitably, usually you leave money on the table, but sometimes you get lucky, which we'll cover a little bit later with your site. But I think you got out at just the right time because the site was hit in the most recent Google update. But anyway, before we get to that, you found a buyer. Somebody had approached you to buy the site. How did you go about kind of like negotiating price, coming up with a price? How did all that work?
Well, I just looked back at the revenue really over the last 12 months and looking at the trajectory and put my teeth in. And obviously, I'd never really sold a site before. So I looked at what other people were doing it based on the last 3 months and the last 6 months of earnings, and just putting a multiplier on. I think it was something like 30 times the earnings.
Yeah, awesome. And do you mind sharing the actual number, or how do you feel about sharing the number?
No, that's fine. It got sold for £28,000.
Pounds, right? So yeah. What's that, about $35,000, is it?
Yeah.
Nice. How did you feel when that happened? I guess there's a big chunk of money for lots of people.
I honestly, for the first month, I was a bit unsure. Part of me was happy, but the other part was sad. But obviously, it is what it is. You make a decision, you stick with it. Yeah. And I decided, no matter what, I'm going to build more websites, and you guys are going to write the content for me. But awesome. So I just want to keep doing it because it's something I enjoy doing, and it's been a part of me for years.
Awesome. What are you doing with the money, by the way? I know it's a question which I've got to ask. Like, it's a lot of money it's a lot of money. Like, it's life-changing for lots of people, that kind of money.
Yeah. I mean, my aim, at the end of the day, that money came from something I did, and it's money that's come from something I've made that makes money. So I wanted to put it into something else which makes money. And I was torn. Should I start 2 or 3 new websites or something else? And I thought, well, we could do something else and I can start some new websites as long as I start writing. But here I am a few months later, we've put the money into something else and I haven't done any writing. So I know that my inconsistency is my issue. And if I'd have written or got you guys to write for me consistently, then it would be on that upward trajectory. I can't say trajectory for some reason.
It's one of those awkward words.
I'm not normally this bad. We've actually bought a caravan, a static caravan, with the purpose of renting it out. It's something we've looked at for 5-10 years, thinking about doing. Every time you go to seaside, you see these caravans and you think, oh, that'd be nice. You can have a few weeks there and you can hopefully make some money at it. Yeah. So we've put the money into this. Sorry, we put the money into a static caravan, and we've already got our first booking, which is great, and we've got a few inquiries coming in as well. So all you've got to think about with those, as long as it's a decent caravan on a decent site, you have your site fees, you have insurances and things like that you've got to pay. and they come to around £5,000 a year. So you've got to get enough bookings to cover that. Now, in the 6-week holidays, you can get anywhere from sort of £700, £800, £900 for a week, which people are happy to pay because it's on a butling site as well, where they've got all the entertainment and the swimming complex and everything else. So you only want the 6-week holidays and you've made all your money back, and then anything else after that is a profit.
Okay. And I guess with the travel industry being the way it is now, like staycations and people holidaying in the UK is much more popular, and it's only going to be more popular over the next at least year or two, I guess. Probably a wise decision.
Well, for now, yes. We'll just see how it goes. If not, we'll have a really good year of going to Butlins.
Nice, awesome. Okay, well, I think that's a solid way of covering your site from kind of start to finish, and I'm really happy you got your exit, and sounds like it was a bit of a roller coaster of a ride over these last couple of years. But I want to talk a little bit now before we kind of wrap up here about you mentioned you've done some YouTube videos for the site, and I know that you've also started doing some YouTube videos for your lawn business, and I know literally nothing about YouTube videos. Will you just tell me a little bit about that? I think it's cool.
Oh dear, I am forever the moneymaker, the guy that tries all these different things.
I love it. It's great.
I think most people have tried lots of different things, and I think only a few select people like yourself who stick at one thing and get good at that one thing are the guys that make the big money. We're the people that make the little money regular. Anyway, YouTube. So I have a YouTube channel for my lawn care business, and for the past 6 years, there's been about 3 videos on there, which were shot on a really old pixelated phone, and the quality is absolutely shocking. The sound quality is awful, and you can't even see the grass properly. So they were on there for six years or so, and I saw other UK lawn YouTubers doing rather well. I thought, wow, one guy's got 20,000 subscribers, another one's got 30,000 subscribers. I've got 200. Do you know what? I've got nothing to lose. I quite enjoy messing around with cameras and things like that. And I just started filming what I do. So when I'm treating a lawn, I will talk about what I'm doing and I'll record it on a video. If I'm scarifying or aerating a lawn, I'll put the camera on a tripod and I'll film it. And then I'll come back to my laptop and edit it using Camtasia. And just put it all together and upload it on YouTube. So you've got to think YouTube's obviously like Google. Is it owned by Google, I think? So it's based on similar things, isn't it? It's going to be, you know it is. Where SEO and titles and things like that and all your keywords and your descriptions, if you're in SEO, you can do YouTube. There's nothing stopping you. So you've got to get your keywords in your title and in your description. And you've got to talk those keywords as well. You've got to say those things within your content.
Okay.
It's just like an article. If you have it at the beginning, you start off by saying, today I'm teaching you how to scarify your lawn.
Right, okay.
So that's pretty much how you do it. And it's been amazing. I don't know if I've just been lucky or it's just the experience from over the years, but it's been amazing. We've gone from 200 subscribers to almost 2,500 subscribers in the last 4 months. And as soon as we got to 1,000 subscribers, they gave me the option to monetize the channel. And of course I said yes. Yeah. So I pressed that button ever so quickly and we monetized the channel. And literally the next day, the earnings said something like $40. And I looked at it and I thought, what? And then the next day it was like $60. And I went, what? And I thought, this is absolutely crazy. It went up, but then it's sort of come down and it's stabilised now. So at the moment, it's averaging like $30 a day.
That's crazy. How many videos have you got, or how many views do you get? Like
views. So we get, I think it tells you views, something like 12,000 views every 48 hours, something like that.
I've got to give it to you, Shaun. I mean, you say that you just fell unlucky again, but you seem to keep falling lucky with these things. So I think you're doing more than what you're letting on here. I think you're doing something right. I mean, you did well with your site, and then
God loves a tryer.
Stumbling around with it. Now you're stumbling around with YouTube. It sounds like you're doing all right to me.
God loves a tryer, and I'm a tryer.
Cool, okay. So is that going to be? Will YouTube, now that you've kind of done it for your loan business, will that make up a bigger part of any new sites that you start in the future? Would you think about adding like a YouTube channel, or you create YouTube content for any sites going forward?
Well, YouTube is very, I believe it's more time intensive than niche websites. It depends how you look at it, I suppose. For me, it's more time intensive because you've got to put more into it. You've got the recording. You've got to take your camera gear with you everywhere you go. You've got to get the tripod out. You've got to press your buttons and get your settings right on your camera.
Yeah.
Then you've got to tell the customer what you're doing because they think you're a bit stupid. There's a lot more to it. And then you've got to come home and edit the content. And this naturally impacts on your family life. And even now, I renovated my own lawn at the weekend with 2 ton of topsoil. And I've got 5 videos I've got to edit now, which are waiting to be edited. So that's going to take me a week, sat down till 11 o'clock every single night. So it's more time intensive, but I've enjoyed the journey so far. But I would still like multiple streams of income, I think.
Yeah. So this is just going to be one of the streams then. And I guess with video content, it's harder to outsource as well. Like you can outsource content creation, but it's much more difficult to outsource video.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. So what's next for you then? What are your future plans? I'm assuming they involve, you mentioned you're going to look to build some more sites. When you do that, what would you do differently this time around? Like if you had to give yourself, Shaun, some tips 4 years ago, like what would they be, and how would you do it differently, and what advice would you give yourself?
Well, Shaun, do not build a multi-niche website. Don't build a site that is best this, that, and the other. Build a website that's actually helpful and actually useful. And yet everybody says that, but it's true. You've got to answer every single thing about a topic. Everything. There's thousands and thousands of topics and content and FAQs. You've got to become the full package, and you've got to become the expert within your little area. So you'd have your main keyword and clusters of keywords around it. FAQs built within to the main article, and maybe the cluster topics linking back to the main article. That's my current level of thinking. That could change over the next year. Things happen so fast on the internet. So, back into niche websites. Our offline business has got ridiculously busy, and we are desperate for staff. Desperate. We need someone full-time in the office and someone full-time alongside me. Wow. That will give me more time to then do more in other things.
Yeah, that makes sense. Well, if there's anyone on here, highly unlikely, up in Yorkshire, who's looking for a job in the lawn care business, Shaun's your man. Reach out to him. Is there? Did you want people to maybe reach out and contact you after this, or like do you want them to go and check your YouTube channel? Like,
we're deciding whether to go with a young apprentice or someone who's a bit older with commitments, who's going to turn up to work every single day. and not be on
Right.
his phone every single day.
Yeah.
We've never hired anyone, so it's a big thing for us. We're going to have a talk about it, and then we're either going to put a job listing on Indeed or we'll just announce it on our page. By all means, our page is Lawnright on YouTube. We're on YouTube and we're on Facebook. LAWNRIGHT. There is another company with a very similar name, but we are the Lawn RIGHT.
We'll put a link to it so people can check out your channel and what you're doing on YouTube as well. Might give them some ideas for how to create content for their niche sites, which would be cool.
Yeah.
Awesome. Is there anything that you think I should ask you or I've missed out that you think might be useful for our audience?
Have you got any tips to throw into the what do you feel that's cutting edge at the moment, Adam?
Yeah, it's a good question. I love the way you just turned that around.
Well, obviously things have changing quite dramatically, haven't they? And I'm interested to see.
You're right.
Yeah, I know we'll have a proper chat about this later, but I don't know, other people might be wondering what to do as well.
Awesome. Thanks, Shaun. You've been a great guest. Really appreciate your time. Good luck with the future. Good luck with the lawn business, and good luck with any sites that you're going to start in the future.
Thanks, Adam.
Cheers, Shaun. Thanks, mate. Bye.
Thanks again for tuning in, and I hope you enjoyed the show. If you're listening to the podcast version of this episode, please subscribe on iTunes or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Please rate and review, as this will allow us to grow our audience and create more shows like this one. If you're watching on YouTube, please subscribe to the channel and click on the bell to be the first to know about any new episodes that we release. Until the next episode, goodbye.